This week on the PRESSURECAST, Xbox One might receive hardware updates, Nintendo defends Metroid Prime Federation Force, and the PlayStation TV goes off the air. Plus, impressions of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD and Alec Keen's Gun. It's Monday, March 7th, 2016. Everything happening in the world of video games is here, now, on the PRESSURECAST. Live from VideoGamesAreDumb.com, it's the PRESSURECAST. And now, your host, Colin Tanner. Hey, Pressure Pals. Welcome to the 120th episode of the PRESSURECAST, VideoGamesAreDumb.com's weekly news panic that posts every single Monday on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, and America's longest-running independent newspaper at ShepherdExpress.com. My name is Colin Tanner, and I am your solo brolo host today. And let me tell you, we don't do very many of these solo brolos. Every once in a while we do. I don't think we've done one since last summer, but I figured, why spend all that time by myself when I can be in front of a live studio audience? Yeah. Let me tell you, it is a little difficult actually to do these shows by myself because I have to be that perfect video game analyst as well as entertainer. And to really kick this off, I think we need to start off with a bit of levity here, a bit of humor, if you will. I've actually been perfecting a impersonation. I'm very famous for my impersonations, as you all know. And I think I got this one down pretty good. It is a famous cartoon character that I think we're all a little familiar with. See if you can figure out who this is. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yeah, okay. I know what if you just listen to the audio version, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did you just play an audio recording or something? But no. If you're watching the video, you can see it for yourself right here. Let me do that one more time. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yeah, all right. I know. It's like, whoa, did someone turn on a TV in there? Taking me back to the 70s, am I right? Listen, guys, each week the PRESSURECAST slices up the latest video game news, past, present, and future, and delivers it right into your ears in several sensational segments in 2 hours or less. Remember, if you want to contact the show, you can email us, pressurecast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at PressureCastPod, and you can even call or text your questions, 954-947-7377. We did get 2 emails this week. We're not going to be reading them because I assume you want the full cast. You don't want just me answering your stupid questions. Not your stupid questions. Oh, Jesus, I've just ruined it. I've ruined it all. No one's going to email anymore. They're going to be like, oh, he thinks our questions are stupid, huh? What would even bother with him, huh? I apologize for that. I apologize for that. Those 2 questions will be read next week when we have more people on the show. I appreciate your emails. Please keep emailing. But okay. Off to a bad start. Wow. Whoa. Okay, all right. But let's get back on track. Okay, let's start off with the very first segment. Oh, no. Here it comes. Tableau! That's right, it's time for the earth-shattering news. This week's story is about Xbox, but it's really about a man, the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer. Now, if you ask me, the Xbox stock overall is down, especially compared to last generation. However, the stock in Phil Spencer has never been higher. Many people look to him as sort of this standard of what the head of a video game company should be right now. Now, that used to be, Jack Thompson or Iwata, but now it's Phil Spencer. When people say they don't want Xbox games going on PlayStation 4, or if they say they don't like Sony's system, he steps out in front and says, what are you talking about? We don't like video games here. Who cares? Video games are great. He's a very interesting individual, and he's been a part of Xbox for over a decade, and so he's an established name. And so when we hear him talk about the future of Xbox, it's believable. There is the trustworthiness to him. When he says, "Oh, we're working very hard to add some new exciting features," yeah, whatever. So go ahead, say whatever you want. And then backwards compatibility shows up on the Xbox One and goes, "Whoa, okay." It's not empty talk. It rarely, if ever, is, which is why many eyebrows were raised when he said this. We see on other platforms, whether it be mobile or PC, that you get a continuous innovation that you rarely see on console. Consoles lock the hardware and the software platform together at the beginning of the generation. Then you ride the generation out for 7 or so years, while the other ecosystem are getting better, faster, and stronger, and then you wait for the next big step function. When you look at the console space, I believe we will see more hardware innovation in the console space than we've ever seen. You'll actually see us come out with new hardware capability during a generation, allowing the same games to run backward and forward. What? What are you talking about there? Did you just say that you're going to be adding hardware to the Xbox One? Are we talking a scenario much like the expansion pack on the Nintendo 64? Are you telling me I will not be able to play Donkey Kong 64? Are you telling me I will not be able to play the single player Perfect Dark? Is that what you're saying, Phil? Well, don't worry, because Perfect Dark and Perfect Dark Zero are part of Rare Replay on Xbox One, so that is guaranteed to be on the system. Do not worry. All the multiplayer. You can use as many bots as you want. It's awesome. It's great. Well, a lot of people freaked out over this statement, so he had to clarify, and he returned saying, am I going to break open my console and start upgrading individual pieces of my console? That's not our plan. What I'm saying is, as hardware innovations happen, we want to be able to embrace those in the console space. Okay, understood. That's not a big deal. But he also mentioned this. As a long-term vision statement, I wanted to make sure people understood what we're doing, I think, is good for the console space, in addition for being good for the PC space. The fundamental concern that people have is, are we losing focus on the console? And many people are asking this for good reason. A lot of the games that were released on Xbox One, or the games that are going to be coming to Xbox One, such as Quantum Break, are now going to PC, and that caused a little bit of concern. Because people are thinking, well, why did I buy this system if it's just going to appear on PC? Which is a ridiculous notion to begin with, because obviously the difference between purchasing a high-end PC and purchasing a console, totally different markets. It's ridiculous to even make the comparison. It really is. Unless you are adamant that one is better than the other. I'm not. I have both. And a Wii U. And a PS4. And a Dreamcast. Okay, the Dreamcast is the best. But regardless, he said, please do not let the fact that we are also launching a game on the same day on Windows 10 change your perspective on the importance of the console business or our commitment to innovating on console. He also wanted to mention to the PC users that it's not going to be like Games for Windows Live. He said, I understand Games for Windows Live is part of the history of Microsoft and gaming for PC gamers. We absolutely have a responsibility to answer the gamers' concerns of the people who bet on us and the outcome. It's front and center. I understand the skepticism that people have, but I want to stand up and say we're very, very committed as a company to ensure that gaming on Windows 10 is a great experience. And that's where the story stops. But really, it goes beyond that, because all across social media, there were people saying, well, that's just it. They're packing it up. The Xbox One is over. They're going to release a brand new version of the Xbox One, and then they're going to split the market. Microsoft is abandoning consoles altogether, or what have you. Ridiculous opinion articles that never actually received any sort of proofreading or spell check. Trust me, I read a few of these. But it is an interesting idea, giving enhancements to a console, and many people would point to examples like the 32X on the Sega Genesis or the expansion pack on the 64, but for all we know, he might be talking about something simpler, more innovative. When we look at the PlayStation 4, we see things like PlayStation VR. That's a headset. Now, obviously, it's not a computer. It's not going to be having any sort of processing power in and of itself, but it is something that's changing the system fundamentally. It's innovating it. The PC's adding headsets, VR headsets. That's innovation. So why not look at it like that instead of trying to take these examples of the past? Now, you could look at it like an expansion pack for the Nintendo 64, but I highly doubt Phil Spencer, who, as you probably can tell, is a very smart man, someone who's been involved in video games and played video games for a long time, as well as an analyst of the industry, would recognize the problem with expanding consoles. And this has always been a problem. And specifically, when we talk about the Nintendo 64, which was not the most popular system of its day. It was sort of in the same area that the Xbox One is to the PlayStation, is much like the 64 was to the PlayStation. It was being outpaced dramatically, but it sold quite well nonetheless. I think that altogether, the Nintendo 64 sold 26 million units, I want to say. Maybe more, maybe less. Who knows? Regardless, when you look at that console, or when you look at consoles in general, towards the end of their life cycle, they will see record-setting game sales because more people have the system, meaning more people will buy the games. It's a pretty simple fact. However, when you look at expansions on the systems, let's focus right now on that expansion pack on Nintendo 64. You look at Perfect Dark, which really could not have been hyped up anymore. Perfect Dark was everywhere. If you were reading magazines, just story after story after story about Perfect Dark. Not as much of a print campaign, a print ad campaign. They don't really do those anymore. It's all online and television and, well, I guess YouTube. But back then, people were hyped for this game. But the idea that you wouldn't have so many of these features unless you had this expansion pack, it was a sure idea that people would purchase the expansion pack just to play this game. And why not? They'd already packed it in with Donkey Kong 64. There were opportunities to buy it at a discount. Why wouldn't people pick it up for a system they already had? Well, they didn't. In fact, Perfect Dark was a sales disappointment, significantly so. Much less than GoldenEye 007, which obviously was a humongous hit on the Nintendo 64. So what we learned there is that even if you have the sequel to one of the biggest, one of the most significant games of the generation, at the peak of its console sales, if you add more hardware to run a game, the audience generally doesn't show up. Now, maybe there are examples outside of this, but I can't think of any. I guess you could look at the GameCube once again when they added that broadband adapter. Not many people bought it, even though that was at a time when playing games online was really starting to boom with things like SOCOM and Unreal on consoles. Obviously, people on PC have been playing Doom across 56K modems and less for a decade at that point. So is Phil Spencer hinting at the idea that they're going to come up with this little box that's going to plug into your Xbox One and give you a better frame rate? No. But does the Xbox One need to get more powerful? Well, that's debatable. Obviously, there's some pretty big differences when it comes to resolution and a lot of the earlier titles. That's sort of been rectified since then. But people are still cracking the system. They're still understanding it. Yes, we're 3 years in, but it seems that we've had 1 foot left in last generation. Many games that were being developed for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, because let's face it, it was the longest running generation in recent memory, it caused an issue in development. Where are we going next? And a lot of those games had to be built from the ground up again, and now they're coming out on newer systems. We haven't really tapped into the potential of either of these consoles, PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, despite what you'll read online where it's all over. It's over. No, it's not. It's not. It's not even close. Come on. I mean, they didn't even tap the full potential of the Wii U. Well, maybe they did. They probably did. That's kind of sad. But, you look at what's going on right now with the new 3DS. I think that's another really important example. The new 3DS is selling pretty well. We'll get on to what they're doing with the new 3DS, but it still hasn't matched the numbers of the original 3DS. And a lot of people that I know that enjoy 3DS, I was talking to 2 separate people this week, because they were talking about Twilight Princess HD, and I went, oh, okay, so you like Nintendo. Oh, do you got a 3DS or a new 3DS? So, oh, no, I bought mine a while ago. I'm like, oh, okay. And you could always kind of tell the tone in their voice. I went, did you get the one with the thumb pad on the right? Like, oh, I didn't know that existed. Way to go, marketing. So you really cannot appeal to people saying, here's we want to take what you own, which is the simplicity of a console. That actually is what's so attractive about a console. A lot of people are afraid to have to upgrade their PCs. Even when it comes to something as simple as drivers, they're intimidated. If you take that and then you put that on a console, this safe haven where you can say, I'll buy it for my kid or I'll buy it for myself. It will go underneath the television and everything will be fine until 2 presidential elections later. If you take that and you add in this element of an extra box that will improve graphics or whatever, what real functionality could it provide other than that? I guess VR, but that's a separate thing altogether. You're hurting that market. You're confusing that market. And it's not like the Xbox One hasn't already had its issues with additional hardware. There was a point, many people might forget already, thankfully so, that the Kinect was bundled in with this system and people rejected it. They did not want it. So if you re-release a bundle with an extra bit of hardware, is that really worth it? Now, I don't believe for a second that's what's going on here. And that's exactly why I'm bringing this up. I wouldn't believe for a second that Phil Spencer would even entertain that idea. I really don't. What do you think he's talking about is some sort of accessory for a system. We've already seen what they've done with the Elite controller, the Xbox One Elite controller, $150 controller. It sold out everywhere. These are still hard to find. People are obsessed with it. Now, obviously, he maybe he was just imagining this world where perhaps consoles could continuously evolve, and there's many different routes to take that idea. But right now, considering the position that the Xbox One is in, any sort of additional hardware would theoretically raise the price of the console, which is already at $350, the exact same price as the PlayStation 4. Would they really risk that? Would they really risk raising the price of the Xbox One in a losing war? Or would they rather just lower the price of the base console in the near future? I'm going to go with them cutting the price. That's just me, though. So when I see all these articles of people saying this is doom and gloom and Microsoft is backing away from Xbox, you're out of your mind. Consoles are still profitable. More than anyone expected. And this would be the wrong time for them to back out. And they have no intention of doing so. For many years, Xbox was the most profitable division inside of Microsoft. One of the biggest companies in the world. They're not going away, folks. Xbox is here to stay. Hell, he's been interviewed before and they said, all right, do you think there's going to be another Xbox? He says, yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd go with that. Why would he lie? Really, why would he lie? Well, to trick people into buying Xbox Ones. This guy is brutally honest in his interviews. He's very candid. He praises his competition, for God's sake. He is not interested in swindling the public with false promises. And he promised nothing right here. He made a statement imagining that there would be additional hardware. No specifics. And then went on to say, hold on. This is not the plan right now. We're not going to send you a screwdriver and a pair of pliers and say, good luck there, buddy. Anything they produce will hopefully, I do want to add the word hopefully here, be innovative enough that anyone can use it, and that it will be compelling to an audience, and that it will not split the Xbox One owner base. It's very important because the Xbox One users, I've said this many times before, are more hardcore than PlayStation 4 owners right now. And I'm not saying that if you own a PlayStation 4, you're not hardcore or whatever. I'm saying that if you look at last generation, for a long time, the more hardcore users were on PlayStation 3. They bought more games. That's what this breaks down to. They played games for longer periods of time. That's what we've seen in studies about the Xbox One. And they're willing to go with you for only so long, but introducing new hardware, big mistake. That'd be a big mistake. And that's it. That's going to have to do it for the earth-shattering story news. I changed the name of that. Thank you. I changed the name of that segment, and yet I still don't get it right every single week. That was a bit of a ramble. Let me know what you think. Send an email, tweet, text, call, whatever. I'm sorry I called him stupid. I don't know why I said that. I said I was sorry. All right. What's that? Boop, boop. That's right. It's time for the hype train. Feel the PR vibrations as we barrel towards Video Game Satisfaction Station on the hype train. This is part of the show we talk about all those upcoming video games to get you hyped up to spend all your money and become a video game guru. Kicking it off with No Man's Sky. Just a heads up here, we have a lot of Nintendo news. We're going to get to that. Part of it's in Pocket Talk because it has to do with the 3DS. A lot of it has to do with the Wii U. That will come later in the hype train. But we have to kick it off with No Man's Sky here. We have a release date for PC and PlayStation 4. It is June 21st. Now, this, of course, is an independent title from Hello Games. You might remember them from Joe Danger, which doesn't even look like it was made by the same developer, but it is. They're a small bunch of developers. They've had a very difficult task trying to produce this game. Their studio was destroyed at one point. Long story. But they've announced that No Man's Sky will be coming to the PlayStation 4 and PC June 21st for $60. And it will include a physical copy. And oh dear, did the internet change its tune from, oh, I can't wait to play this game, to it's $60. You know, I was never really hyped. I'm not buying into the hype anymore. It's ridiculous. Why do people do this? As soon as they see the price on a game, they change their tune. They incorporate price as value into a game. Blows my mind. I'll never understand that. I really won't, especially if you're on PC. Because, I mean, how many games are you getting for $10? Will it hurt you to actually pay full price for one game a year? Just one. Come on. It's ridiculous. And to even attack a developer because they're charging the standard issue price of a video game, how dare they? How dare they charge $60 even though everyone else does? Boo on them. Ridiculous. Also, if you want, you can spend $150 for the PC Special Edition, which includes a pin that I guess you can wear while you're playing the game. And also a toy replica spaceship. $150? What the hell's that about? Well, there's only going to be 10,000 produced, so I don't know. I honestly question whether or not they will sell through all of those. I really do. I have no idea. You get a pin in a spaceship? That'll be $150. Or you can save $90 and just play the game. I guess if you have more fun with the spaceship, good for you. We'll have to wait and see, though. I'm very excited to play No Man's Sky. Doot doot! Speaking of space, Mass Effect Andromeda apparently has been delayed until 2017. That's according to Blake Jorgensen, the Chief Financial Officer of Electronic Arts. He was with an investors meeting at a business summit and referenced that the game would be available in Q4. Q4? What do you mean? Wouldn't that mean it'll be this year? No. We're talking about financial years. Business summit. That means it'll probably happen in either January to March. Not a bad time to release a game. Didn't they release Mass Effect? They've released plenty of these Mass Effects, actually, around that time. I want to say Mass Effect 2, because that was a big deal, how even though it was released so early in the year, it actually managed to take a lot of Game of the Year awards. You know, it was kind of... a lot of people are always worried that if you release something too early, whether that be a movie or an album or a video game, if you release it early in the year, you're not going to win as many awards. Yet they did. It was very impressive. So nothing entirely new about that, though it is disappointing that we will not see it until 2017. Looking forward to that. Doot doot. Speaking of delays, Uncharted 4, what is going on, man? You're supposed to be out in March. Then it was going to be April. Now it's going to be May 10th? What the heck's going on here? Well, President and CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment, Sean Layden, said, "We have chosen to postpone the launch of the game by 2 weeks to allow for extra manufacturing time." Extra manufacturing time? I have no idea what he's actually referencing there. I wonder if it's just they want to print more copies of the game. That really might be it. I'm not positive. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. It's a guess. What's your guess? Email. Okay. Doot doot. The PlayStation 4. Great system. Not perfect though. But Sony's trying to rectify that with its brand new update 3.5. There's going to be a couple of new features that I think you're really going to enjoy. Let me tell you, if you own a PlayStation 4, you're going to be like, wow, that's cool, man. You're going to have friend online notifications. So whenever your friends go online, you'll get a little notification. That's optional, obviously. You can appear offline now. So in case you're like, I don't really want to see my friends online. I don't want that friend online notification when it pops up on someone else's screen. I'm going to appear offline. You can do that now. Why not? Everybody likes a little bit of privacy. If you're playing No Man's Sky by yourself and you're really engaged in the world and you see a little message thing pop up, it might take you out of it. I just turn off notifications. I never see notifications on my screen, so it doesn't bother me. And then after I'm done, I just look at my phone. I'm like, oh, okay, someone sent me a message. I don't mind if you send me messages. I don't. You can have user-scheduled events. Sure. I guess, if you really need that. If you need on your PlayStation 4, be like, hey bro, you want to play at 8? Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll create an event. Why? What are you doing? What is going on in your life? Do you have that much free time that you can even create events? I think you need more free time to create user events if you have a busy schedule. The irony. You can have... Well, I don't know if you actually know what this is. When you're online together, you can see what other friends are playing and then join their game. You can already do that. I don't actually know what that's referencing. Here's the important thing, though. Remote play for PC and Macintosh is coming. This is, of course, happening at the same time that things like the Vita TV and the Vita are kind of being let go of by Sony. So what about Remote Play? Well, now they're saying it's going to be available on the PC and Macintosh. This will not be a part of the beta when they release that, but when the thing launches, when 3.50 launches, that will be an available feature. Very curious to see how that looks. I'm not really sure who needs that, who even wants that, because that feature already exists on the Xbox One, and I've never used it. And my PC is right by my Xbox One, and I have a Windows 10 PC, so I don't know who actually uses that feature. Also worth noting, remember that guy a few weeks ago? He actually released a version of Remote Play for PC, and he was charging money for it or something. I don't think he got a cease or desist for that, which is shocking. He really should have. But it's cool to see this feature here. I'm happy about it. We also have some more news. Oh wait, one last thing. Daily Motion is coming to PlayStation 4. Oh my god. Thank god. Oh yes. Daily Motion. Oh, on my PS4. Oh. I only watch Daily Motion if I'm trying to watch like stuff that's blocked on YouTube. So. Doot doot. PlayStation View. Yes, PlayStation View. If you're scratching your head and wondering what that is, well, it is basically cable on your PlayStation 4. If you want to watch cable with the risk of interruptions and lag, PlayStation View. Check it out. It's always been a bit too pricey for a lot of people, so they've actually adjusted a lot of their plans, including $40 for 60 channels, formerly $60. $45 for 75 channels, formerly $55, and $54.99 for 100 channels, formerly, say it with me now, $65. So, this is still only available in some random cities like Miami and New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and it really hasn't been broadened out, but from what I can tell, the impressions I've read online, it's not great. It's not great service. I don't know who's using it, actually, but I'm because the pricing, it's like, why don't you just pay for cable? Now, obviously, Xbox has its own thing. What is that with? Dish Network or somebody? I can't even remember off the top of my head. I can kind of picture the logo, though. But I don't know who's going for this. This seems unnecessary. It seems like you got your Netflix and you've got your Hulu. With Hulu by itself, why would you ever need, I guess, live television? But even then, it's like, I don't understand. Also worth noting, they're going to have some new ESPN channels and stuff like that coming to PlayStation View. Doot doot. There's going to be a new Xbox One update, and it will allow you to purchase backwards compatible games directly from the Xbox One. It's sad, but I'm very happy about this, because there have been a few games where, like Mirror's Edge, where I was trying to buy that, and I had to go on their website. Not a fun experience. Now you can do it directly from the console. You can also adjust the length of the game DVR for recording. My recommendation, turn it off. Save that hardware space. You can output the chat from your party through speakers and headsets at the same time now. Come on, Sony, pick it up. Please do that, Sony, please. It's so brutal that you can't do that still. Also, you'll be able to see Xbox 360 achievements on your Xbox One, and a few more updates on to the reputation system. From now on, if you have a good reputation, it doesn't appear on your profile at all. If you have a less than good reputation, it appears on your profile. Like needs work. And avoid. Doot doot. We also got some information about Killer Instinct Season 3. There are going to be 8 new characters, which is awesome, including Rash. You might remember him from Battletoads. Tusk, he was formerly of Killer Instinct, as well as Kim Woo and the Arbiter from Halo. There are going to be 4 more characters. They were not announced at this time, nor was their release date. This game will be launching on March 29th on Xbox One and PC. I want to love Killer Instinct on the Xbox One. I do, and whenever I play it, I think, this is pretty good. But, I don't know. I feel like I need to get a fight stick for that. You know, a separate fight stick. I got PlayStation 4 and PC fight stick, which we'll get to later. I'll talk about that. But I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it on a controller. I want to get a fight stick. Doot doot. We have a brand new Forza game, sort of, coming to the PC. It is called Forza 6 Apex. It is free to play. It is on PC. That is all we really know right now. It's not really Forza 6. It just sort of features the same cars and tracks, but it's not the exact same package. They also announced that there's going to be a brand new Forza that will be debuting at E3. I really hope it's Horizon. Let me tell you, Forza Horizon 2 is one of the best racing games of this generation. Easily. It's amazing. If you own an Xbox One, you have to buy that game. I'm dead serious. Fantastic game. You can just take this amazingly expensive car and you're just drifting around in the dirt and just flying off of hills. I mean, it's the closest thing we have to like a sequel to Burnout Paradise. I mean, you're not going to be smashing through billboards or anything, but you know, it's pretty good. Fantastic as an open world racing game too. Far better than that Need for Speed game that came out last fall. Doot doot. Alan Wake's return was sort of hinted to last week as someone found a live-action trailer within Quantum Break's code. Well, bad news, Alan Wake fans. It's not actually a game. It's a series of live-action videos that are going to appear in Quantum Break. Sort of like how they, what is that, Baseball Bat Boy or Captain Baseball Bat or whatever it was in Max Payne. They had these TV shows that would always play in the background. Well, that's part of Remedy's heritage. They always do that. And they're going to continue that with Quantum Break using the character Alan Wake. I never realized those rhyme. Quantum Break, Alan Wake, Quantum Break. Max Payne. I could do a techno song. We'll work on that. Let's meet in the studio on Friday and see if we can really crank something out, something that speaks to this generation. Doot doot. Gears of War Ultimate PC was also a surprise announcement. Microsoft was just like, I don't know, here you go. Everybody enjoy. Well, there's been a few problems. People are using AMD Radeon graphical cards. Have had some issues with frame rates. They apparently will have an update released shortly. Doot doot. HoloLens. Of course, this is the augmented reality visor that Microsoft is working on. It's pretty interesting. It's a unique idea. I'll give them that. It's apparently going to cost $3,000 though, as they've revealed with their development kit, and it will come with a game, Young Conquer. If you ever wonder, you're like, oh man, Conquer's Bad Fur Day was great, but what if, hypothetically, let's take Conquer and make him look ugly as hell, make this grotesque 3D model, and then have him jump around your room and recognize objects while he's collecting coins. Have you ever wanted that? Then you gotta get yourself a HoloLens development kit. You gotta watch this video. It's bonkers. Conquer looks like garbage. And obviously they made Young Conquer because they don't want older, drunk Conquer. But wouldn't that be more fun? Let's really break this down. Instead of just having some generic squirrel mascot run around collecting coins and fighting bosses in your house, wouldn't it be more fun to have the Conquer? Pissing in your corner, vomiting on your couch, asking you where beer is, maybe even opening up your fridge. I know that's sort of impossible, but how much more fun would that be? For $3,000, why are you trying to appeal to children here? What are you doing? There's not very many prudes in the tech industry. You can probably get away with having something a little bit more risque. Just saying. Okay. Doot doot. We're on to the Nintendo news. Yes, there was a Nintendo Direct on Thursday? Was it Friday? Thursday? Thursday. I watched it live. It's been kind of a blur of a week. And they revealed that Star Fox Zero will be released on April 21st. Wait, April 20? That's like a month from now. Way to just sneak that one out. They also announced that this game, of course, will include Star Fox Zero, but also include Project Guard. This is based off an E3 demo that they had way back in 2012. Essentially, it's a tower defense game where you set up a bunch of cameras that have different functionalities, and you set up some gun turrets, and things try and sneak in, and you blow them up. You'll be playing as Grippy. That's Slippy's uncle from Star Fox. And yes, the game will be available for $15 by itself on the eShop. Star Fox Zero will be available for $50 by itself on the eShop, or you can have them both physically for $60 at your local retailer. I'm looking forward to Star Fox Zero. I'm a little concerned. I love Star Fox 64, and I realize that's sort of like a generic, go-to answer. It's kind of annoying at this point. Everyone just goes, I like Star Fox 64, because everybody just says that one. They never mention the one on the GameCube, Assault. They never mention the adventure game. They never mention the SNES game. They never mention the DS games. That's because there's actually not too many good Star Fox games. Just there haven't been. And this game, to be honest, it doesn't... I'm not even talking about the graphics. I'm not even talking about the art, but just looking at the way that the world's interacting with itself. And they showed how you can go through different pathways. It's kind of like, well, we all like Star Fox 64. I don't think we need another one. We still have that game. You even re-released it on the 3DS. Why not something really new? And, you know, say what you will about Star Fox Adventure, which obviously was supposed to be Dinosaur Planet before they swapped out the characters because Miyamoto wanted Star Fox in it for some reason. And say what you will about, God, Assault is on the DS. What is the one on the GameCube? But say what you will about that. At least it was different. It was trying something new. The shooting sections were better than they'd ever been before. The on-the-ground sections were about as bad as you would expect. So why not just be like, okay, let's get rid of that and let's focus on that? I don't... Whatever. Okay. Doot doot! They announced a brand new Paper Mario for the Wii U. Oh my god, people are so mad about this. Paper Mario Color Splash. Because his hammer is going to have colors on it. He's bringing color back to the world. Yes. I mean, I see so many people online complaining, saying this is not what we want. I hate when people say we instead of I or me or whatever. Stop speaking in plural. Stop saying that you speak for other people. Defend your ideas. All right. It's very easy to convince people of something if you say we. People will fall for it. I never do it. Watch any of my videos. I say I never say we. Annoys me so much. Hate that. If you do it, stop. Please. But here's the thing. While I do think there's a bit of vitriol in the response to Color Splash, I can't help but just wonder, who is Nintendo going after with this game? No one really bought a Wii U. You just got the hardcore fans. Why are you trying to give them a casual Paper Mario game on the Wii U? The system that's not even selling. On the 3DS, I kind of get it. You know, Sticker Star and you know, Paper Jam and all that stuff. I kind of get it because they have a wider audience. They can go for a casual audience that maybe doesn't play those games. But on the Wii U, you're trying to trick them to get more casual? Good luck there, Nintendo. Doot doot. Splatoon is getting more updates. That is fantastic news. Now remember, last year they said, okay, there you go. Those are the updates for Splatoon. We'll see you later. Bye. And everyone's like, oh man, that sucks. Oh, one more Splatoon update. Ooh, I wish there were more Splatoon updates. Now Nintendo's like, hey brah, March 8th, I got you. That's tomorrow, by the way. Isn't that exciting? There's going to be a brand new update that's going to, it's called Volume 1. And it will introduce weapon set recommendations. That little Sheldon guy from the store is basically going to say, hey, you never used this weapon. You should try it out. This is really effective. This is really popular. I think they're also going to do some adjustments to make some weapons more powerful, which is cool. I mean, Splatoon is one of the best games of this generation. It's one of my favorites. It is such a breath of fresh air. And when you release that NX console, Nintendo, get the whole team together and make a new Splatoon. Please. Doot doot. Super Mario Maker is also going to get some new updates, including keys. So basically what this means is that you're going to be able to create stages that are more adventure-like, that allow you to explore and have boss fights. Because before you could just put whatever you wanted on the screen and you could just run all the way to the right and just ignore it. Not entirely, but you know what I mean. Now they're going to say, no, we're going to put keys on some characters so have like a little mini boss fight. Excellent idea. Good to see they're still improving Super Mario Maker. Oh, and whatever, we'll get to that later. Doot doot. There is a rumor going around that Nintendo is pulling a Bayonetta 2 with Beyond Good and Evil 2. You might be saying, what does that even mean? Is that English? What did you just say? Bayonetta 2, of course, was the game that was made by Platinum Games. Fantastic title. One of the best titles on the Wii U. One of the best games of the generation. Please buy Bayonetta 2. Oh, I love that game. My favorite game of 2014. Not exaggerating. Blew my socks off. Could not believe how much I loved it. Well, that was a game where it was very violent, but Nintendo said, nope. Roll fund it. Please do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Make it exactly how you want to. Because they're basically buying third-party support. Because they have to. Because they're Nintendo. Third-party developers don't like them very much. Well, there's some rumors going around that they've gone to Ubisoft and said, hey, Beyond Good and Evil, which is a cult classic. Also, it's a game that was given away with was given away with food in Canada. Just free copies of the game with food packaged in. That's how poor it sold in France, in Canada. Well, there is a rumor going around that they will be funding that project. Nintendo will actually say, sure, because they want people to buy, presumably, their next console. I can't imagine they're doing this for Wii U. It would be baffling to me, especially because the game in the first place was supposed to be worked on during the PlayStation 3 generation and Xbox 360 generation, but the creator behind this series, is it Michel Ancel? I can't remember who it is. Was like, no, we need the next generation. My concepts are too crazy for right now. So, hopefully he gets his wish. Doot doot! Nintendo is bringing back its Nintendo Selects retail thing. Basically, it's where they take games that are popular and they make them $20. Who doesn't love that? I love that. Some of the games included on the Wii U are Super Mario 3D World, Pikmin 3, NES Remix, Pack, and Donkey Kong Country, County, Tropical bullshit, whatever. Game sucks. On 3DS, you can get cool games like The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D. That was out of print for a while. That's pretty good. And Yoshi's New Island and Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D and Mario Party Island Tour. Who's picking these games for the 3DS? Those games are garbage, except for Zelda. Those games are absolute garbage. Also worth noting that they're re-releasing some Wii games, including Super Mario Galaxy 2. That is awesome. That game is out of print. Very hard to find. People are charging $50 for it still. Animal Crossing City Folk. Okay, that's kind of cool. Super Mario All-Stars? Whatever. And Donkey Kong Country Return. Doot doot. Rock Band might be rocking its way to PC. That was not the best transition. I'll admit that right now. They might be making Rock Band for PC. It is currently on Fig, the crowdfunding source. They are seeking $1.5 million. Harmonix itself would then fund the project for $500,000, and it would basically just be Rock Band on your PC with wireless guitars and the drum kits and the microphones and all that. If you pledge $50, you will get a copy of Rock Band 4. And that is all. Doot doot. Let's find out what games are going to be coming out this week. On Tuesday, The Division is going to be out on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Very much looking forward to that. The Culling will be out on the PC. Fight for your life in The Culling. In a remote island paradise, 16 contestants have 20 minutes to explore, scavenge items, and craft weapons, build traps, and hunt and kill each other. It's 16-player online battle for supremacy. Alright, that sounds interesting. It's like Minecraft versus mode. I could go with that. Clot on the PlayStation 4, Mac, and PC, first-person horror game, original. Mind Zero is going to be on the PC. This is an adventure game, RPG, that was already released on the Vita, I want to say, last year, maybe even more than that. On Thursday, 3DS owners get a chance to purchase Fire Emblem Fates Revelation. Of course, this was packed in with the special edition. Now it's going to be available all on its own on the eShop for $20. And on Friday, we have Hitman, the episodic game, being released on the Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4. $15 for the single episode, $60 for the season pass. Very intrigued to see where that goes. They also have some ridiculous $150 special edition. Whatever. You do you. Fine by me. Also, WWE 2K16 will be released on the PC. I did play the PC version of WWE 2K15. 2K16 is a pretty okay game. I know some people don't like it. I enjoy wrestling from time to time, and so I thought it was actually pretty good. I had an amazing match in the story mode against Tyler Breeze in NXT. It was amazing. I was just crawling to my feet, barely kicking out. Oh, it was fun. That's enough of that. That's going to do it for the hype train. Stay tuned after this. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for downloading the PRESSURECAST each and every week on Monday on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, and America's longest-running independent newspaper at shepherdexpress.com. But I need your help. You might say, you're available on all of these services. Why do you always talk about iTunes? Well, let me explain something to you. iTunes is a very popular podcast app. And as such, a lot of other podcast apps base their algorithms off of iTunes. I know that sounds ridiculous. How is that possible? I wish it wasn't. We're very popular on TuneIn Radio and elsewhere, but unfortunately, iTunes dictates how many people discover the show, and I need your help on there to give the Pressure Cast, a written review, and a 5-star review. You hit 5 stars, you write something in there. I enjoy the Pressure Cast. It's an okay show that I don't like Colin, but everything else is cool. That works. That is fine by me. That will be just fine. It helps us out. And help is something that's very important to me. I'm very passionate about help. Recently, I was going into a gas station, and before I did, I saw a gentleman outside, propped up against the wall, and he just had M&Ms just falling out of his mouth. Just had M&Ms falling out of his mouth. I was like, what the fuck? What's going on here? I walked up to him, and I said, what's the matter, man? And he tried talking. Oh, his M&M's fell out of his mouth. I said, buddy, you're not going to enjoy them that way. You got to chew. You got to swallow. And you should have seen his eyes just went, his eyes opened up real bright, right? He started chewing. He started swallowing. And then he gave me a big old chocolate. Thank you, sir. Not the actual chocolate, thank you, sir. That's illegal in a couple of states. But he said, thank you, sir. And that man... That crazy dude grew up to be Shia LaBeouf. That's a true story. And that's what I'm talking about. When we help each other, we help people become Hollywood actors or something. But the important thing is go to iTunes, 5 stars, and a written review. Oh, well, thank you very much. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Yeah. All right. It's time to talk about the games of the week. So, every single week I talk about the games that I've been playing. However, recently I have started to do a brand new series called Worth It, which you can see at youtube.com/videogamesardumb. I highly recommend you check it out. I would say it's definitely worth it. Oh, all right. The thing about this series is that I basically break down a game. I say I've been playing it for, several hours, and then I give you a little bit of video along with what I'm saying, and it's a fun little experience. And I do recommend you check that out. One of the games I did a video for this week was something called Alekeen's Gun, which is something I had sort of forgotten I'd even reserved. I reserved it months and months ago. It had popped up out of nowhere, and I reserved it because it was coming out in the next couple of weeks, and then it slipped. And then for about the past 3 weeks, it's been reliably set for March 1st. And so I went, okay, all right, March 1st? March 2nd? I can't remember. So I take it back, and it's this Hitman wannabe that's completely broken. If you've never played Hitman, Hitman's always about you've got these targets that you have to kill. Well, you'll see, because I'll probably be doing a video on the new Hitman. You have to go into an environment, find the person you're supposed to kill, and get out of there without like a bloodbath. You kill that person and no one notices. You're super stealthy. It's like a James Bond movie or something. You know what I mean? And this game, I guess you could say it's like that because nobody notices anything no one notices you. Whatever you do, they will say, "I'm sorry, sir, you can't enter here," and you can just walk right past them, and they just give up. Like if ever they object, you just keep walking as fast as you can until like you can actually feel the radius of the artificial intelligence. You can actually feel when it's no longer registering your character as an interactive object. It is shockingly bad. Go check out the video for yourself. I can't do it justice. I also played a little bit of Broforce, which was very interesting on the PlayStation 4. It is a 2D game where you basically play as a bunch of different action movie stars with different abilities like flamethrowers or Gatling guns or sticky bombs, and they're all based off of 1980s action movie stars like Dolph Lundgren or Sylvester Stallone, multiple Sylvester Stallones. You got Judge Dredd Sylvester Stallone, and you got a Rambo Sylvester Stallone, as well as B.A. Baracus, based off of Mr. T from the A-Team. It's a very good game. There's a few weird issues with the PlayStation 4 version, namely when you start off a when you start off a stage, whether it's through death or you just start the stage, there's this point about 2.5 seconds in where it stops registering your controls for like a half second, and then it just continues. And it happens every single time. They got to patch that because it's very frustrating because you're doing a lot of jumping. You can get killed very easily by a single bullet. It's kind of like Contra in that way. Meets Metal Slug, meets, Terraria. Yes, Terraria. And it's very important that you have complete control of your character. So that was a bit of a problem. Also, I played The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. I'll have a video up on that on Tuesday, so please check that out. I'm still not sure where I'm at on that. I'm enjoying it still. I played that game way back in the day. Funny story, I remember this buddy of mine, I was stuck on one part because the map was very difficult to read back in the day if you had an SD television with the Wii way back in 2006. And so I asked a buddy of mine who was also playing it because I saw he was further along than me. I said, how did you get past that? And he goes, oh, I don't remember. What do you mean you don't remember? He goes, well, I went and I got a lot of shots and I got blackout drunk and I came home and I played Zelda and I woke up and I beat the stage. I was like, what? So Nintendo, their games are so accessible. You can be blackout drunk and get farther in them. It's a true story. I guess if there's anything I do want to mention or do want to talk about, I did buy a fight stick for Street Fighter 4 recently. I bought the Hori Rap 4 fight stick for the PlayStation 3, PC, and PlayStation 4. Works on all those systems. And I gotta say, I'm really enjoying it. It's a bit of a learning curve. But what I really appreciate about it is that you can set it, this isn't uncommon for fight sticks, but you can set it to be the D-pad. Or you can set it, because it's obviously only one stick, it's not two sticks. In case you don't know what a fight stick is, it's, you know, when you go to the arcades back in the day, they had the joystick and they had like the 6 buttons. That's what it is, you know. And it's that. And it's very sensitive. Even if you slightly touch any of the buttons, like slightly brush your hand along it, it will register. It's great for fighting games because you feel like you always get that input that you're going for, especially when you're doing your light punches, crouch light punches. But what I really like about it is that, like I said, you can do the D-pad, left stick, or right stick for the fight stick. And that means you can play some games that were probably never intended to be played this way. I was playing Shovel Knight with a fight stick. I felt like I was playing with an NES Advantage. It was awesome. I also played some Broforce with the fight stick. Had to actually go into the accessibility settings of the PlayStation 4 to change the controls, because you can't change the controls in Broforce, and they don't even tell you the controls. It's weird. But that was a very, 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 very cool experience. So, while I am using it, of course, for fighting games, because I do love fighting games, I've always wanted to get better, and I am getting a lot better at Street Fighter now. No longer accidentally jumping when using the fight stick. Oh my god, let me tell you, when you're just trying to do a quarter circle forward to throw a fireball, instead your guy's jumping right into someone that's already has someone who already has a prepared attack. That is brutal. It sucks, you know. Trial by fire, though, you gotta do it. But it is fantastic to be playing all these crazy games with a fight stick. And maybe I'll play some Snoopy's Grand Adventure. That doesn't use the right stick. I can do it now. It's possible. So it's very, very neat. But yes, go to videogamesardumb.com. Check out the videos, or go to youtube.com/videogamesardumb to check out, these new episodes are worth it of Alekeen's Gunnin. On Tuesday, I'll have one for The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U. And then we start this whole crazy cycle over again, do more episodes of First Hour and everything. Oh, and I played Heavy Rain on PlayStation 4. It's the exact same thing as the PlayStation 3. I love Heavy Rain. Please go play Heavy Rain. It's a fantastic game. Love that. Interactive drama, you know. But, I'd like to take this live studio audience outside. What do you guys say? You want to go outside? Yeah, all right. We're going to go to a little place that's always warm with the glow of cold, hard cash. That's right. It's time for the Chart Park. The land where money grows on trees. Yes, the Chart Park. This is the part of the show we talk about all those upcoming video games. That's a different segment. This is the part of the show where we talk about the most recent legal, financial, and business news in the video game industry and find out which fat cats of Wall Street will tip their top hat towards Lady Luck. Kicking it off with Nintendo once again. Here is probably one of the most significant stories we heard about last year. They announced that they were partnering with Universal Studios, the theme park owned by Universal, to create a Nintendo theme park. Now, we still don't have very many details. A lot of these is still rumor and speculation. We have a few details right now, but according to Sankei News, they're saying Nintendo is spending $351 million on these attractions. That ain't no chump change. They're going whole hog on this. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be any sort of, Nintendo month type scenario where they just have Nintendo characters at the park and maybe some, cheap ad and stage show that just gets washed away the following month. No, it sounds like they are creating permanent attractions. This has to do with Universal Studios Japan, specifically. They're saying that it's actually very large, and they say that the agreement that they're currently engaged in is not too different from the World of Wizards that you saw at Harry Potter. At Harry Potter. Well, I guess that's the name of the location at Universal Studios, which of course is one of the most popular attractions for Universal Studios right now. It's its own section, it's its own world. It's slowly turning into what Disneyland is. How you have Tomorrowland over here and Fantasyland. Okay, I don't know the names of the areas of Disney World, but you know what I'm saying. It's these different environments that have their own distinct personalities. So, I love the idea of a Nintendo theme park because I've always wanted to just be able to punch Yoshi right in the face and have Yoshi just fall and just writhe in pain, covering their head. And now I'll have that potential. All I gotta do is just spend a couple thousand yen on a plane ticket, and there you go, punch Yoshi in the face. I'm very excited for this though, because the rumors are that it's going to be completed by 2020, which is the exact same time that they're going to be having the Olympics in Japan, which will be very exciting. And Nintendo should have done this a long time ago. It seems strange that they're just now trying to capitalize on their legacy when their business practices haven't really been paying off. You would assume at the time of the Wii, and maybe that's when these deals started, maybe they just had some negotiations and they fluctuate over the past couple of years, but you would assume that Universal Studios would be ready for Nintendo during that time. When the Wii is on top, when they go, sure, absolutely. When the DS is on top, oh my god, please give us your Mario or your Pokemon or whatever you can into our theme parks. We want that tomorrow. Because that's something new and fresh. Video games and theme parks have never really gotten along. I mean, there's going to be some sort of Mass Effect ride at Six Flags over in California. I just heard about that on another podcast. And, I guess you could say there have been a few stage shows where stunt actors do karate flips and kicks to the Mortal Kombat techno music. I was there, people. It was awesome. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't nearly as cool. No one got hurt. That was the worst part. No one actually got hurt. And as a child, I'm like, where's the blood? That's what I want. I want to see blood everywhere. Not a smart child. Couldn't seem to understand why these stage actors weren't okay with cutting themselves open. Pro wrestlers would do it. That's why I watch that wrestling. There you go. They're willing to cut themselves open. There you go. Moving on. E3 is getting kind of tiny. We already knew that Electronic Arts was not going to show up to the show. That they're going to have their own event across the street. We've now learned that Activision will not be arriving. According to a quote from Activision, in June, we're going to be at E3 showcasing gameplay from Infinity Ward's ambitious new game. It's going to be a Call of Duty game. We're looking forward to sharing exciting new details about the next Call of Duty game in partnership with our friends at PlayStation. We're proud to be participating in this premier video game event, but we won't have an Activision booth on the show floor. That's a little perplexing right there. Now, if they said that they were not going to be holding a press conference, I'm like, okay, no big deal. Who cares? They don't do that already. They're going to be hanging out at other people's events and showing off their games while people are paying attention. Makes sense. But the idea they're not even going to have a booth? They are the biggest publisher in video games. What the hell is going on with E3? Well, now we've also learned that Wargaming, they do World of Tanks, they're not going to be at E3. Okay, that's strange. I guess they only really have one game that they make that's very popular, so I understand they're already speaking directly to their audience. But Disney Interactive will also not be there. I'm a little worried, guys. You remember last week I said this is going to be the biggest E3 ever? Maybe I'm wrong. Does this mean E3 is going away? I sure hope not. I love E3. It's everything I love about video games. Just the combination of money and embarrassing mistakes. That's what I like. It's also why I like politics. Anything that involves lots of money and then spectacular failure, I'm all for. Like when you hear the voice go, Hulk smash, over the wrong presentation. Or when someone walks up on stage and their microphone's not working. Or when the game crashes. That's what I love to see. So the fact that Activision and Blizzard, they're not going to have a booth, and now Disney's not going to have a booth. I mean, I assume they're going to be on stage at one of these events, presumably PlayStation. So, I'm a little concerned. Well, Epic Games boss Tim Sweeney wrote an opinion piece for The Guardian this week attacking Microsoft's strategy when it comes to PC video games. Because, of course, they're releasing lots of new games. Here's what he said. With its new Universal Windows platform, we're going to refer to that as the UWP after this, Microsoft has built a closed platform within a platform into Windows 10. Microsoft is moving against the entire PC industry, including consumers and gamers and software developers such as Epic Games, publishers like EA and Activision, and distributors like Valve and Good Old Games. Microsoft has launched new PC Windows features exclusively in UWP, and it is effectively telling developers you can use these Windows features only if you submit to the control of a lockdown UWP ecosystem. There is some concern, because the way that these UWP systems work is that you can't use mods at all. That was one that really stuck out to me. That's how it's going to be when they release Quantum Break and other games. These are not going to be available on Steam, which he definitely took note at. This is insane. He actually called it an embarrassment, their current idea. Phil Spencer actually responded to this and said, Tim Sweeney is a friend, and he pushes for what he believes. I agree, UWP has to be open, and that's what we are doing. The feedback is great, even if it's negative. I read it, and it impacts our plans. Thanks for being vocal. Look, I'm telling you, this Phil Spencer guy, when does he run for president? I'm loving these responses. It's fantastic. How's he doing? He takes everything in stride. I think it's amazing. I don't know why he has such tolerance for these attitudes, but he does, so good for him. I don't know. I mean, really, if you think about it, there's not much there's not much else you can go on besides what he's saying, because we have not seen this Universal Windows platform yet. Is it going to be a completely closed, awful system? Well, probably when it launches. Most of these systems are not very good. Heck, a lot of them still aren't. Look at things like Uplay or EA's Origin. It takes time. Look at Steam. Steam launched terribly. If you want to talk about throwing shade, though, Palmer Luckey, the guy behind the Oculus Rift, oh my god, he was asked this week, is the Oculus Rift ever going to come to Apple computers, Apple products? And he says, that's up to Apple. If they ever release a good computer, we will do it. Okay, wow, that's subtle. He said, it just boils down to the fact that Apple doesn't prioritize high-end GPUs. You can buy a $6,000 Mac Pro with top-of-the-line AMD FirePro D700, and it still doesn't match our recommended specs. So if they prioritize higher-end GPUs like they used for a while back in the day, we'd love to support Mac, but right now, there's just not a single machine out there that supports it. What about Hackintosh? You take a PC and you put Mac OS X on there. It's possible. Well, guess what? He's not the only one throwing shade. Dean Hall, the creator behind DayZ, had this to say about VR. In reality, I see it as a very expensive Wii. The Wii was successful because it offered simple, fun, approachable experiences at a low cost. We don't know what kind of games will sell well, how big the market will be, and so on. So our steps with VR are exploration, and we're not banking the studio on it. I fear some studios are so swept up with the possibilities of VR, they're putting everything into it when we don't know we don't know about the VR game market. How many people will be buying VR games, and how much will they pay? I love this. I love that we have so many people throwing shade. You got Palmer Luckey just being like, Apple sucks, and then you got Dean Hall being like, that's just like another Wii. What is going on here? And not even to mention Tim Sweeney knocking Windows. Everyone's talking crap this week. I think they just, you know what? We just gotta all put them in a cage. And put like a frozen hot dog right in the middle. That's the only weapon. You get a frozen hot dog, and they gotta hit each other with it. I'd watch that. Well, okay, everyone's being really negative. We need some happiness in our life, don't we? We do. And luckily, McDonald's has always been there for us with their Happy Meals. I know you're like, where's this going? Follow me here. McDonald's has announced Happy Goggles, which will be released in Sweden between March 5th and March 12th. Happy Goggles are the box itself that contains greasy food. You know, the one that gets all stained up because the fries were touching it too long, or that the burger was just, dripping all over the place. You're going to take this box, and you're going to make it into a pair of VR goggles, like, Google Cardboard. That's it. I got nothing else. What? Nope, I got nothing else. Let's move on. Yes, we have the list of the best places to work for from Fortune magazine. There are 2 video game developers on that list this year. Activision Blizzard is number 77. And Riot Games is number 39. I am surprised not to see Electronic Arts on here, as generally they're regarded as one of the better companies to work for, as they treat their employees very, 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 very well. A lot of people say, oh, they're horrible and they shut down studios and blah, 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 blah. They really do treat their employees well. And they do have a lot of really awesome programs to help out their employees. Highly recommend you look into them. So Activision Blizzard on the list, as is Riot Games. Good for them. Esports. It's the thing that apparently is the next big thing. At least that's what everyone else is telling us. And Yahoo apparently has been listening, because they have announced the brand new Yahoo Esports. That's right. According to the executive Bob Kondo, we're approaching our coverage of esports with the same tenacity and professionalism we always have with Yahoo Sports, News, and Finance. Coupled with our experience in building great products, we've gone out and assembled an experienced and innovative content team that will cover esports from every angle. So what are they going to cover? Well, Street Fighter V was mentioned. That perked my ears up. Hearthstone, okay. And Dota 2, because there's just not enough places covering Dota esports. Whenever I go online, I Google this every day, Dota esports. No results come back. Now, maybe it's because I don't have my computer connected to the internet, but obviously there's a market for it. Thank God Yahoo is finally stepping in and creating a resource to learn about Dota 2 esports. Finally. Oh, yes. Zynga is getting a brand new CEO, Frank Giblau. His starting salary, $1 million, and he is starting as CEO today, Monday, March 7th. Good luck, Zynga. I mean, Zynga's making a lot of the right moves. They're trying to sell off their very expensive San Francisco location. They've definitely been letting people go. They're not really as big of a deal as they used to be. I feel bad for them. That poor little dog in the red box. He's probably going hungry right now. Sony has released the list of the best-selling PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and Vita games on the PlayStation Network. We're just going to talk about the top 3. On the PlayStation 4, the best-selling games in the month of February were number 3, Rocket League, number 2, Far Cry Primal, and number 1, Firewatch. So Firewatch did very well in the month of February, probably because there weren't that many big titles released that month. Over on the PlayStation 3, number 3 is The Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel. What is going on, people? Why are we still buying The Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel? It's not even that good of a game. Number 2 is Minecraft PlayStation 3 Edition, which means that money's going to Microsoft. Oh, the irony. And number 1 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. Okay, I guess it's an old system. I guess they want to buy old games. That is fine. Over on the Vita, the third best-selling game was Breath of Fire 3, which is a PSP game, and you might be saying, what the heck's up with that? Relax, there's an explanation. They just released that onto the Vita shop for people to buy. That's why PSP game's on there. Number 2 is Borderlands 2. People, did you not get the memo? Borderlands 2 on the Vita sucks. It is garbage. Please do not play that. Do not buy that. Do not fall for it. And number 1 is Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, which is just fantastic. That makes me so happy, because that is actually a good JRPG. It is a vibrant, lively JRPG. It's exciting to see something like that come out of Japan. Very exciting. Now let's talk about the top 10 best-selling games in the UK, kicking off with number 10, Street Fighter V. Oof. That fell off fast. Number 9 is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Number 8 is Fallout 4. Number 7 is Star Wars Battlefront. Number 6 is Lego Marvel Avengers. Number 5 is Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 4 is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Number 3 is FIFA 16. Number 2 is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. And number 1 is Far Cry Primal. I guess it takes place in Europe, technically. Maybe that's why they wanted it. Now let's talk about the best-selling games in Japan. Follow the pattern with me here. Number 10 is Street Fighter V. What the hell happened? The game is falling off in sales. Maybe it sold extremely well in the first week. Well, let me break it down for you. It sold 53,000 copies last week. It sold 11,000 copies this week. No, there's actually something significantly wrong with Street Fighter V. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe the market's just not there. That makes me sad because I really enjoy that game. Number 9 is TV anime The Idol Masters Cinderella Girls G4U Pack Volume 9. Who could forget that classic title? Number 8 is Attack on Titan. Number 7 is Kankoli Kai. Number 6 is Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. Number 5 is Attack on Titan. Number 4 is Kamen Rider Battle Ride War Genesis. Everybody's favorite. Number 2 is Mega Man Legacy Collection on the 3DS, which apparently is quite good. So you might want to check that out and get yourself a little gold Mega Man amiibo. And number 1 is Kamen Rider Battle Ride War Genesis on the PlayStation 4. All I know is that Bandai Namco made it. I've never heard of this game. Never heard of this game. But let's talk about the best-selling consoles in Japan, starting it off with the PlayStation 4 with 26,502, PlayStation Vita with 17,368, new 3DS LL with 17,257, Wii U with 5,392, new 3DS with 4,944, 3DS with 2,694, PlayStation 3 with 1,493, 3DS LL with 550, and Xbox One in last place with 60. Now, don't get me wrong here. I like the Xbox One just fine, but in Japan, they do not care about American consoles. Evidence? 60. And that's going to do it for the Chart Park, the land where money grows on trees. Okay. We're going to be back. We have to deal with Pocket Talk. We have to deal with the idiot of the week, and we have to talk about strong history, so please stay tuned after this. Allow me to tell you the story of the caterpillar. It is a humble creature enjoying nourishment from its surroundings. Green leaves. What particular leaves, I don't know. But let me tell you about that caterpillar. Sooner or later, it goes through some sort of process, and what happens? Becomes a butterfly. That's what we're trying to do with this here PRESSURECAST. Let me tell you about it. We are trying to become the butterfly podcast. Okay, the analogy is getting a little bit too stretched thin here. Allow me to just get it right to the point. Go to iTunes, give us 5 stars, and a written review. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's time for big talk in a small world. That's right, it's time for Pocket Talk. Pocket Talk, Pocket Talk. This is one hell of a bloated Pocket Talk. We have a ton of stuff to get to because we obviously have that Nintendo Direct, but we need to kick it off with Sony news because they've officially discontinued shipments of the PlayStation TV in America and Europe. Very, very, very sad news. Apparently, they are going to still have shipments in Asia. That's the surprising part. I thought it was getting discontinued in Japan, full stop, but apparently not yet. According to a spokesperson, PlayStation TV shipments were terminated at the end of 2015. Okay, forgot to tell us. Shipment is still continuing in SCE Asia, and we have nothing to announce regarding the timing of termination. Of course, you will still be able to purchase all the games on PlayStation TV through their store and yada, yada, yada. This is sad for many reasons. They launched this micro console for $99 and just never even remotely understood what they were doing. Oh, okay, cool. Can I watch Netflix on this? No, but do you want to play Tekken 3? Yeah, kind of, but kind of want to watch Netflix on this, and, you know, that'd be pretty cool. Do you want a remote play? No, I live in an apartment, and this would probably be right next to my PlayStation 4, so that really wouldn't be necessary, sir. Well, how would you like to pay $100? No, thank you. But it uses the same expensive memory cards as the Vita. How are you turning this down? It was a bad idea. Now, I love the PlayStation TV because I capture Vita footage. which I guess is going to get a lot more difficult because who is going to develop PlayStation TV compatible games at this point? It's dead. It's dead. It's over. It's sad. But the 3DS lives on. So that's good news. I thought it was a 3DS story that was coming up next. It's actually about Pokemon Go. They're going to start doing field tests in Japan later this month, according to Niantic. The Pokemon Company and Niantic will be inviting users to field test Pokemon Go in Japan later this month. Well, I just already said that. Way to go, Niantic. More like 8Tech. Take that. Stupid. Also, they have canceled their game developers conference presentation. They said, we've decided to forego our GDC talk on Pokemon Go in order to focus on getting the product ready for beta test and launch. That's just strange, man. You know, when I hear that you've canceled a presentation, you know what that says to me? It says, everything is going fine. No, not really. I wonder what issue came up. I doubt it's, oh, we just want to focus on the game. Really? So when you were going to have this presentation, you weren't going to focus on the game? There's something else going on here, and I am curious to know what it is. We are not going to get a new 3DS XL, and that is sad. But Japan is going to get a new 3DS XL. Why is this all so bothersome? Well, it's because it's based around the SNES. It's got the same colored buttons. It's gorgeous. It looks like a Super Nintendo had a baby with a new 3DS, and this is not the first time this has happened. You know, they always have these themed consoles, and we never get them. My favorite one is that DS that's based around the original NES. When they released it in America, they had one at GameStop that is just an NES controller on just an image on top of the DS. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's great. Reminds me of that controller. Shucks howdy. Instead of this lovingly crafted piece of hardware. God damn it, Nintendo. What's wrong with you, man? Well, there's a good reason that they're doing this, because SNES games are coming to the Virtual Console on the 3DS. That's right. Mario Kart, Earthbound, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country 2, Super Metroid, and the original Donkey Kong Country will be coming to the 3DS and even have a pixel perfect mode, in case you're worried about those pixels not being perfect. Here's a little problem with me. Don't get me wrong, playing Earthbound on the go, that's amazing. That's fantastic. And you could already do it if you had a PSP, but that's besides the point. What I'm trying to get at is, isn't this exactly the problem lately? Isn't this exactly the issue? That we already own these games on our Wii U. I made a mistake. I said we should not do that. No. You can purchase these games on the Wii. You can purchase these games on the Wii U, and now you can purchase them on the 3DS, and lucky you, you'll pay for the same game over and over and over again. There's no cross-platform unity. And they didn't even announce prices for this. Personally, I'm not biting. I'm not falling for it. That's the whole point of this My Nintendo account, which they briefly touched on during the Nintendo Direct. Didn't give any specifics. They're just like, oh yeah, you can pre-register now. No, you can pre-register for Miitomo. This is stupid, Nintendo. It's a stupid choice. Apparently, this is only coming to the new 3DS. They can't do it on the old 3DS. Who knows why? Maybe they're just throwing a bone to new 3DS owners because they feel bad. Much like they did when they released Game Boy Advance games and NES games onto the Ambassador program for people that bought the 3DS early. Like I did. Like an idiot. Paid $250 for that system. The original 3DS. Oh boy, that was only 5 years ago. Not my best choice. Well, we also have, oh my goodness, this is funny. They have that new Fire Emblem meets Shin Megami Tensei game. It's going to be called Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp, with an actual musical sharp system, FE. This is not on the 3DS, this is on the Wii U. But I cannot get it out of my brain that this is a 3DS game. I keep forgetting, namely because when I look at the game, I'm like, it doesn't look like a Wii U title, and I have no idea why they would even release it for that console. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it would be very popular if it was on the 3DS, and I think that's what they thought, and that's why they went, okay, we'll release it on the Wii U because the Wii U needs games. That's my assumption. But when they released this in Japan, it did terribly. It did absolutely terribly. You know how I know that? Because we covered the charts of Japan every single week. I don't recall ever seeing this game. Now, of course, it was called something entirely different. Genji Ubun Ruku Sharp FE. But I do not recall that name being in the top 10. So, I guess it didn't do very well. That'll be on the Wii U June 24th. Really, it should be on the 3DS. The best news of the week, though, is that Rhythm Heaven The Best Plus is coming to America as Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. This will include over 100 mini games, rhythm games from a bunch of different Rhythm Heaven games of the past. It will be released on some point in the future. There's no release date? 2016? I really thought there was a release date. I am a big fan of Rhythm Heaven. I highly recommend you check this out. Some of my favorite games of all time, Rhythm Heaven. Basically what it is it's these weird mini games where you just kind of learn a song and you play along with it using the touchpad, but it's not simple like tapping buttons. It's always something slightly different, like scratching or flinging or whatever. It's not as simple as tapping, but of course there are tapping games. Probably the most famous one is when you have to interview a Japanese pro wrestler, and your cue is based off of the interview where the lady's like, sure, yeah, and you go, You have to like nod your head. It's crazy. You gotta check it out. It's super good. Bravely Second is coming soon, March 15th to be exact. But if you are a Best Buy Gamers Club Unlocked member, for some reason, you can get the demo 3 days earlier. March 7th is when they're going to be launching the demo for Best Buy members. And that demo will be available on March 10th. Ooh, 3-day head start. Slow down there, Nintendo. Ooh, everyone's going to be... Oh my goodness. We're getting reports right now that people are breaking down the doors over at the local Best Buy because it is March 7th. It's terrible, terrible tragedy right here because they just want to sign up for the Gamer Club to get their demo 3 days early. Oh, it's a tragedy. Whatever. There's a brand new Kirby game coming to 3DS called Kirby Planet Robobot. This is a game where you play as Kirby, and you can get in giant mech suits, and they turn pink, and they're adorable just like Kirby. It's going to be out on June 10th. Can I just say this? Can we just get a 3D Kirby? Do we need to keep just releasing 2D Kirbys? Are we really just going to let this character just wallow in 2D obscurity? I'm just saying, it annoys me so much. That character has a ton of potential, and he's just been left on these B-plus games. When you look at the original Kirby games, Kirby Dream Land 2 on the Game Boy, or the original Dream Land on NES, not to be confused with the original Dream Land on Game Boy. I was going to say GameCube for a second. The original one, Game Boy, is not very good, but the games that followed that, including the ones that were on the SNES, all these fantastic games, and then the 64 happened, and they just were like, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? We'll put a Kirby 64. It's no good, but whatever. Another 2D game. Make a 3D Kirby game. A 3D game where you get lots of different abilities is super exciting to me. Why will you not make that, Nintendo? It's pretty obvious. Just do it. We also got more information on Hyrule Warriors 3DS, including the release date, March 24th. That's like 3.5 weeks away. Surprise. Enjoy. We also got information, or is that 2.5? That's 2.5 weeks. Yeah, it is. That's kind of surprising. They're also going to have a season pass where you can get a Ganondorf costume. Woo-woo. And you can also transfer your characters from the original Wii U one over to the 3DS and vice versa. So both versions now get Linkle, the girl version of Link, who apparently is a ditz, who thinks she's a hero, but she's not really a hero. It's all an accident. Way to go, Nintendo. Well, I'm giving them a lot of heat right now, but it's nothing compared to the fans of Metroid, who are still mad about Metroid Prime Federation Force. We got some more details during this Nintendo Direct. Producer Kensuke Tanaba. Okay, I'm not good with names, right? He defended the hell out of this game. He said, this belongs in the universe. We've been working on this since the DSi, and we've postponed it and postponed it and postponed it. But when we saw that the 3DS had 2 analog sticks, really an analog nub and an analog pad, he said we decided to work on the game again. It was originally designed with Next Gen. You might remember them from Super Mario Strikers. They make a bunch of really fantastic games. It's basically just a 4-player kind of MMO-ish Metroid game, and I don't mean MMO as in it's this giant open world, but what I mean is that you're gonna have people that are healers and support and tank classes, and you're gonna be taking on giant monsters. It looks like you're taking on raids. I think the game looks fine. I'm not wowed by the art style. I wish they'd do something else there, but it doesn't bother me at all that it's a Metroid game. I don't really care. I will stand by my belief that whatever keeps a franchise alive is better than nothing. As someone who wanted to see Shenmue 3 for the better part of 14 years, I know this to be true. Hey, they're going to make a Shenmue MMO. I don't want that. Hey, they're making cell phone games. I don't want that. Hey, they're making Shenmue 3. Ooh, I want that. It's because it had to go through all those phases, folks. Whatever keeps the franchise alive. Seriously. Relax. Relax. Oh my god, people get so mad about this. Dragon Quest VII also had a trailer. That looked very exciting. That's going to be available on the 3DS. No release date there. Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge is coming to the Wii U and 3DS, where you use little Mario-based amiibos and you play some Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Those are fun games, but it didn't really look all that different. They announced Pocket Card Jockey. It's solitaire meets horse racing. It's made by Game Freak. You might remember them from Pokemon. Yeah, those guys. Azura Striker Gunvolt 2 will be available this summer. One of my favorite 3DS games. Though it is kind of alarming. That's another game from Inti Creates. You'd think they'd be working on Mighty Number 9. And instead they made one of these. And they also revealed Disney Art Academy on the 3DS. In case you want to draw Disney characters, you can start doing so on May 13th. Or you can do it right now. You don't need a 3DS to do that. Does anyone actually like those games? Let me know if you do. I'm curious. And lastly, sad news. The PlayStation Store for the PSP is officially being shut down. March 31st. It is being discontinued. Although you'll still be able to buy PSP games on the PlayStation Store through Windows browser. It's just really sad. And that's going to do it for Pocket Talk. Let's take the mushroom. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I hate to say it. Normally we like to do the Idiot of the Week. But for the second week in a row, we can't do it. Instead, we're going to be doing the Idiots, plural, of the Week. Yes. We have 2 Idiots of the Week this week. Last week we heard about how Naughty Dog was stealing from Ubisoft. They took the art from, or concept art from Assassin's Creed Black Flag and put it into a trailer for Uncharted 4. That's not good. You shouldn't do that. That's inappropriate. You shouldn't take things out of context. You see where I'm going here? There's an ad for The Division that was recently put out. It is a print ad, which also appears online, that has the quote, blows Destiny out of the water. Or blow Destiny out of the water. This is from GameZone. Never really heard of GameZone. GameZone, what the heck are you doing? How can you even say that this game is gonna blow Destiny out of the water? That's a ridiculous assumption. Well, that's because they never said that. At least not in that context. There's a writer, Tanya Morris. She wrote the story for GameZone, which was actually referencing the fact that there were more people playing the Division beta, 6.4 million people, than there were playing Destiny, 4.6 million people. There were more people playing the beta for the Division, a free beta, mind you, than were paying Destiny. So, the story is about how they blew Destiny out of the water. The beta blew it out of the water. Not about the quality of the game, just about the amount of people that were playing it. Now keep in mind, they're also now allowing reviews of The Division to be released until after the game comes out, because they want everyone that is reviewing the game to play with full servers. Fine. But to take someone's story out of context, it's ridiculous. And this has been a problem for a really long time. And I don't know maybe the ESA will have to sit down to solve it. Because until it's solved, we're still going to see crap like this happen. And, I mean, Ubisoft's going to take this quote right now, and they're going to take it and they're just going to say, problem, ellipses, solved. That's what they're doing. You're butchering quotes. Don't do that. I understand it's marketing and it's your job, but you had to know better. And this is not a direct comment at Ubisoft in general. Somebody in the chain of command approved it, and they should be ashamed of themselves. That's ridiculous. But like I said, we have 2 idiots of the week. And this one right here. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Mike Kennedy. He, of course, is the president of Retro Game Systems. They are a company or a developer or something. Ponzi scheme? Who knows? That went to Kickstarter for the Coleco Chameleon It's going to be like a retro system. It's going to be really exciting. Oh, we're going to play retro games like we did back in the day. It's going to be super cool. Well, people right away were like, I don't know if that's such a good idea. They were seeking, how much were they even seeking on Kickstarter? $1.95 million. That was on Indiegogo. The total altogether, $80,000. Well, things got a little bit more complicated at the New York Toy Fair when they were showing off the Coleco Chameleon. Someone took a picture of it and was like, this doesn't look right, because the case is actually a transparent Jaguar, the Atari Jaguar. Look it up. It's an old video game system from the 90s. Did not do very well, although it is 64 bits. Do the math, people. And inside of it was, I'm not kidding, an SNES motherboard and a capture kit. Two things that do not add up to a video game console that's built from the ground up. Frank Cifaldi, awesome guy. Follow him on Twitter. He was over at the Atari Age forums, and then he took to Twitter and said, they posted a picture on Facebook that turned out to be an old PCI capture card. Do not support these people. And this is not the first time this has been brought up. There have been numerous accusations over the past year towards Mike Kennedy, because he'd send pictures like, oh, the system's real, and he'd take these really blurry pictures and send them out, and you're like, really? You can't take a better picture than that? You know, and then make these ridiculous videos where he wouldn't show the console. Just stupid stuff. Well, Retro System said, independent engineers will review their findings and determine if those units are up to our standards. No, they won't. This will never happen. You're talking out of your ass. This is not the first time this has happened. Mike Kennedy said that the system is a love letter to all the classic cartridge-based game systems that came before it. It will take gamers and their families back to a simpler time where games were all about great gameplay and fun factor. No, they won't, Mike Kennedy. You're lying. And besides that, the idea is stupid. No one supported it. And the very idea that you are going to continue this crusade and campaign of lies and deception is baffling. And you are the idiot. Here's my system of the week. No, that's not an Atari Jaguar and a PCI board and capture kit. You're a moron. We're about to close out the show. We like to do a little thing where we take a look back at the week that was, and a little segment we like to call Strong History. 10 years ago this week, Pursuit Force was released on the PSP, one of my favorite PSP games. Basically, you are, it's sort of like a racing game and an action game combined. You drive a car, you jump on other cars, you shoot the drivers, you can take over their car. It's amazing. You go from Jeeps to trucks to everything. It's like a high pursuit chase on a freeway, and there's cars exploding and bullets are flying. Fantastic. Look it up. Onimusha, Dawn of Dreams, the last real Onimusha game. The forgotten one, really. It was the fourth Onimusha game. It was released 10 years ago. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter came out on the PlayStation, came out on the Xbox 360. Big controversial game. One of the early games to really disappoint on then next gen. And Burnout Revenge was released on the 360. Just a fantastic game. It's not Burnout Paradise. It's a more focused game. It's fantastic. Highly recommended. Freedom Force versus the Third Reich was released 11 years ago this week. Freedom Force, of course, very cool little game. And the people that made that, Irrational Games. Am I getting this correct? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Irrational Games worked on that. Maybe they worked on the original. And then they made something called BioShock. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I didn't think about that until right now. 12 years ago this week, The Suffering was released on the PlayStation 2. Very cool game that takes place in a prison where these monsters that you're fighting are all based around different forms of capital punishment. The death penalty. It's rather terrifying. Check it out. Fantastic. Very cool game. On the GameCube, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes was released. Last time Silicon Knights was relevant, huh? I've never really been a big fan of Twin Snakes. It just seems too bloated with cutscenes. And you might be saying, what are you talking about? That is exactly what Metal Gear is. It just seems to be lacking the overall feel of Metal Gear, though. It combined the mechanics of Metal Gear Solid 2 into Metal Gear Solid 1, but it had the same level design, so none of it really fit. And 12 years ago this week in Japan, a little game called Monster Hunter premiered on the PlayStation 2. Those games are still being made and going strong to this day. 14 years ago this week, Gauntlet Dark Legacy was released on the GameCube. I don't really like that game, but man, do people still sing its praises. They love that game. Good for you. I'm happy you're happy. Also 14 years ago, Mr. Mosquito was released on the PlayStation 2. This was a game that you played as a mosquito and you sucked the blood from a family, including a bald man. It's a bizarre game. It's utterly fantastic. 15 years ago, Ring of Red was released on the PlayStation 2, a real cult classic turn-based strategy game. Look that one up. It didn't really attract much attention. You're not going to hear about it from too many other sources. But, you know, hey, what can I say? I got the up and up on this. I know all about the real cool games. 16 years ago, Choo Choo Rocket was released on the Dreamcast in America. Let me tell you, that was an amazing online puzzle competitive game where you just had to get the mice into a place. It was like an over-the-top game where you sent the mice and you put arrows on there, and the mice ran where the arrows were. You could play it online. It was a huge deal when it came out. It was super good. 17 years ago this week, Final Fantasy VI was released in Japan. Some call it the greatest JRPG of all time. 17 years ago. Hard to believe. Soon it's going to be able to start smoking. Speaking of smoking, 18 years ago, Bushido Blade 2 was released. I love the Bushido Blade series. Square Enix's strange fighting game that basically rotated around just killing people with one hit. It was fantastic. I'd still love to see another one. 20 years ago, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars was released in Japan. 20 years ago, the very first Mario RPG. Fantastic game still. Of course, that would later go on to launch the Paper Mario series because the developers of Super Mario RPG, Square Soft, would leave for Sony with their Final Fantasy series. That was awkward. 21 years ago, this week in Japan, Chrono Trigger was released. Some call it the greatest JRPG of all time. Are you noticing a pattern here? These are three fantastic JRPGs. But Genesis wasn't really all about those JRPGs. No. 24 years ago, Toe Jam and Earl launched on the Genesis. Not one of my favorite games, but I just love the look of those characters. I recently took a survey for Sega, and which you can do too. It's an open survey. And I don't know, a lot of references to Toe Jam and Earl. Love to see what they're going to do with that. 28 years ago, Alex Kidd The Lost Stars was launched on the Sega Master System in Japan. Now, I have played this game. I was going to do a retrospective on Alex Kidd, but once I completed The Lost Stars, I knew I never wanted to play another Alex Kidd game. This game, whenever you die, there's a small child's like compressed audio recording that just goes, "Aah!" It's so painful to listen to. And you will die a lot. It's one hit. It's this crappy arcade game. Like this crappy arcade platformer with way too big of sprites. Look it up. It's awful. But lastly, 29 years ago, Square. We're still talking about JRPGs? 29 years ago? No. Before Square got really into JRPGs, they did a lot of different type of action games. And 29 years ago, on the Famicom Disk System in Japan, they launched 3D World Runner, which actually included 3D glasses. It's a game that was like in third person. Rather rare at that time, having a third person game. You basically had to jump over big gaps. That was about it. But for the time, it was very impressive. And it really showed off the very first instances of Square pushing graphics. So I think it's worth a mention. And that's going to do it for Strong History. This has been an interesting show. You know, I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in and for this live studio audience right here. Give yourself a round of applause. That's enough. You can always reach me at Dr. Karate Chop. That's at Dr. Karate Chop on Twitter. You can follow the PRESSURECAST at PRESSURECASTPod. You can go to youtube.com/videogamesardumb and check out, I'll have a video up on Tuesday of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. I'll have an episode of First Hour up. I don't know what it's going to be, some sort of downloadable title. Friday that week, hopefully I'll have the Division Worth It episode up. And then by next Tuesday, I'll also have a Hitman episode of Worth It. I usually know what I'm going to do with Worth It. First Hour, it's kind of like, I don't know, what came out? Sure. I'm going for those smaller titles now, because that's the stuff that always gets me more views. It does. Being honest with you. And I have fun doing it. I like looking at smaller titles. But yeah, you know what? That's going to have to do it for this episode of the PRESSURECAST. I want to thank this live studio audience here. And, everyone that's in this building right now, I wanted to let you know that you're all going to die. I don't care. You're all going to die. One day you're all going to die. That's your problem. But not the PRESSURECAST, because the PRESSURECAST is forever. Oh, boo yourself. PRESSURECAST, weekly video game news podcast, is solely owned and operated by Colin Tanner. Guests of the PRESSURECAST are not employees or freelancers of Colin Tanner, the PRESSURECAST, or VideoGamesAreDumb.com, and are not paid. Music featured on the PRESSURECAST is property of their respective owners, and no infringement is intended. For more information, email pressurecast@gmail.com.